Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to explore the cross stitch square. Now this is a stitch that I've never ever seen before, and as a stitch I really come to like. I'm actually really surprised by this stitch actually worked. It's not something that I would have ever expected in my mind. So what happens is that we're double crocheting basically, and just one every now and then one just crosses over. So it's not like it's a crisscross, one is just moving over just like so, and it is really easy. So today let's explore this. This is part of Stitch-cation, an Afghan sampler project that I'm teaching you to do different stitches. There are 10 different kinds of stitches within this Afghan, and I'm telling you this one was one of my favorites. So let's begin. We're going to create a slip knot, and in the pattern it calls for a 3.75mm or size F crochet hook. Stitch-cation I used a 5mm size I with Red Heart Super Saver, and then of course this one here I'm using a 6 or size J, and it's for tutorial purposes. I'm just being able to really show you how these stitches are working together. Just make sure that this pattern is basically easy to do. You can substitute the yarn and the hook as long as they complement each other. So let's begin. Remember that this slip knot never counts as one, and we're going to go all the way to 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and please chain all the way to 36, and I'll meet you back in just a moment. Okay, now that you have your 36, we're going to single crochet all the way across this chain. So what we have to do is that we have to go second chain from the hook. So we have 1 and 2, and we simply turn the chain around and get the back loop only that is sticking out the back. It's like a hump. It's like the top of a sea serpent, and basically you are going to use that loop all the way across. So once you turn it over, you can see that the back loops are just popping out, and it's really quick and easy. So please just single crochet on the back loops of your chain going all the way back to the beginning. Okay, we've come all the way to the beginning, and now we're going to turn our work, and we're going to start doing the cross stitch element right away. Unlike some of the other Stitch-cation Afghans where we have to build up layers in order to start, this one is not one of them. So let's begin. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and this counts as a double crochet in the rules of crochet. We are going to skip the first stitch, and we are going to double crochet into the next 2. Okay, so it's just very easy. So just that, and this is where it gets a little more interesting, because it's the way that you access it is slightly different than what I'm used to. So we have to come back to the stitch that we skipped. So in order to do this we have to wrap first, and we have to come back and come into the gapping space and pop the hook out through the front. So I basically, see how I went into that gap and then just popped it through to the stitch, and then we double crochet. And this one here is the cross that we're leaning over. So we immediately skip the next stitch, and then we just go into the second for a double crochet, just like this. So the next 2 are double crochets, and then we have to come back to the stitch again. So we just wrap, come out through into the gap space, out through the front, wrap, and then pull through and do your regular double crochets. So again, so to restart, we skip the first one, double crochet into the next 2, okay, and then we come back to the stitch that we skipped. Come into the gapping out through the front, double crochet. So that double crochet forces itself to turn over onto an angle as a result of just basically crossing over the other 2 that you see. And this is how you simply just do the cross stitch for the Stitch-cation Afghan, just like so. And basically it looks absolutely amazing. If you change its color, it's amazing. I really enjoyed this stitch, and it's not something that I thought would ever be possible, because I figured it'd be out of balance, but in actual fact it's in balance and it looks amazing. We continue just to cross stitch ourselves across very easily, and when we come back I'll be at the end of the row and I'll show you what to do next, because we only are going to cross stitch on every other row. We're not cross stitching every row, and you'll notice that when you do this, all of the cross stitching will appear on one side and there will be nothing like that on the back. So let's I'll meet you at the end of the line and I'll show you what to do next. So I'm just finishing up the row here, and I'm just doing my 2 double crochets in a row, and then I'm doing my cross. And if your math is done right, you should end up with 1 single stitch left. And mine is right, and I have 1 left, and it's just a double crochet like this. And so basically I've done my cross stitching all the way across, and now I'm just trying to this time just turn your work, chain 1, and then just single crochet all the way across. Okay, and this really does a great job of locking those stitches. That makes it in balance. You'll see that it's a lot more consistent looking once you do the single crochet across. And then the next row, when we come back, we're going to start the cross stitching again, just like what you've seen. There's nothing more fancy. This is as fancy as it gets, and you can change the colors as often as you want to, and it looks absolutely amazing. It's actually a new favorite stitch of mine that I didn't even know existed until this point. So I'll meet you back at the end of the line. I'm coming all the way across. Don't forget, you need to go into the top of the beginning chain 3 in order to keep this in balance. So we're going to turn our work now, and we're going to see. So you have the cross stitch going over, you have the singles in, which kind of calm down the cross, but now it's time to do the cross stitching once again. So to begin, it's just like what you already know. So it's chain 3. That counts as a double crochet. We're going to skip the next stitch and double crochet into the next 2. Just like there, and then I wanted to do that cross, so I want to wrap, pop it out through the stitch just there, and start again. So we skip 1, double crochet into the next 2, okay, and then we come back to the stitch that we skipped out, like so. So you really do find your rhythm. I really enjoyed this stitch, and I hope that this is a new favorite of yours as well. If not, you know, there's probably hundreds if not thousands of different ways to crochet that, you know, all of us kind of find ways that are stitches that we personally like, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable when you have a stitch that is your go-to. So until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. Stay tuned for more free ideas, patterns, and whatever else we have to offer. Until next time, we'll see ya.